Okay, time for, again, for variety for me as much as anyone else. A short little story. A specific story, how about that? That's how we'll call them, specific. Let's see, let's do my Birdsville trek. I always like going back to that one. It's been a long time since I thought about it. So I was down in Australia. We're taking side trips, obviously. We don't want to just be with the families and stuff. One of the side trips we took was with a couple of the Aussies. Me and a gentleman named Ray, I won't give his last name without his permission. We went down together and we went to play for different teams. So me and Ray, one of our side trips, we went together with one of the guys he was staying with and a buddy of his. And we went to Birdsville, which is in the outback. So we literally, loaded up a Jeep type vehicle and a pull trailer full of tires and water and stuff like that. And the Jeep, they only had a two-seater up front with the shifter in the middle, so it was crammed to put three in there. So me and Ray were shoved in the back with all the cargo in the truck, literally sitting up on top of it and bouncing. We thought it was no big deal at first, because of course we're on pavement till we get to the outback. And their idea of a trip, of course, is a lot of grog or a lot of beer. So every bar we went to that was there, every single bar we had to stop in and go in and have a drink, and next bar I stopped in and have a drink. So it's bars, as you can imagine, we were pretty pie-eyed before we ever hit any gravel to the outback. And then we started on our trip, and you can look it up on the map, but we were staying in Adelaide. That's the town where we were teaching in, and living with the players. So anyways, we're going to Birdsville with these guys, and our very, very first meal, we a whole bunch of cans go into a big pot, can, and then, no, I kid you not, the back of a wrench, stirred at the back of the wrench, slopped it into cups, and we drank from these cups. They were big cups, but still we drank from these cups. Our first meal ever on this trip after been drinking all day. And so anyways, yeah, you can guess, we're all throughout the middle of the night waking up with basically, I guess you call it, the trots, but like dysentery. Like, it was really bad, like, stuff you could, it's like peeing through a needle kind of stuff. It was really gross. And we're in the outback, so we're basically in a lot of dry at that point. It was mostly clay, but it was starting to turn into rocks, which a lot of it was going to be rocks later on. And they had a fold-out toilet, just like a toilet lid with wire needs it collapsed like this to put away, or you'd spread it open and you'd use the toilet. So that's the toilet. So we have pictures of that, actually, believe it or not. And so yeah, that was the start of our trip, was all getting sick. So a few days into the trip, oh yeah, we brought a boat too. That's important. I mentioned that we brought a boat that was on top of the Jeep. And so anyways, every night when we slept, there's snakes there. They have the worst case of snakes in the world. Not the most poisonous, but many very poisonous. Ones that still kill you, maybe not in 10 seconds, maybe in 20, who knows, but the really bad ones, the worst being the brown. And he comes up in this story too. But anyway, so I decided when we were sleeping at night that, I'm going up. So I was sleeping, that boat became my bed, the top of the boat. Just a flat bottom one, so it was easy to sleep on. Yes, I could have rolled off, but for whatever reason I never did. I must have built my bed up somehow. So I didn't roll off, and I used to sleep in bunk beds growing up, so I guess I know not to roll instinctively. So I thought, well, I'm highest. If anyone's going to get bit by a snake, it'll be by them down below. So that was how we were doing this trip, and we're not eating well, and we're just drinking beer, basically surviving on beer. So we go from these four really athletic guys, because these guys are players too, and to being very sickly looking guys. So then we end up heading into one of these little tiny, you don't call it a town, they call themselves town, but the first one we hit, had a few buildings, place to gas up, a pool room, like bar. And they actually had a tank with water in it, but it was hot, right? And they let people swim in it. I guess they boiled their water to drink. They must, I guess. So anyways, we go for a swim when we come out, and we all went. It's not that big, so we took turns, right? So we come out, and one of the things we're having the drinks, and the guys inside are going, "Oh, I saw you guys swam. What did you see any snakes?" We went, "What?" Apparently the snakes, there's water, so they would climb up there and they'd be in the water too. So that was scary to think that we probably had snakes in there with us. They were probably just as scared of us as we were of them if we'd seen them. So that was kind of creepy. So anyway, so that was the first bar, and then so we're doing some more driving, and I was tending to read a lot because these guys were kind of like idiots. And anyways, they get me back later for that. So we go to this little, it was like a pond. I kid you not, it's probably, I don't know, how do you describe a little water, they called it their lake, but it was like the circumference of a regular house. Like, it was like maybe like 40 feet by 20 feet. And I don't know how deep, but probably not that deep. And that's what they brought the boat all the way for. So there happened to be very drunk, the Aussies again. And me and Ray are sitting there, and we're not feeling so great. And I'm reading, and then I look up at Ray, and I point to the motor, because the motor was, has an on and off switch, and they were starting to pull it, and I realized you could see it clear as day right in front of us. The switch was off. Decided not to tell them. So they keep yanking this thing, and they finally toss it on the ground. This damn motor won't start. So they go out and they just push themselves out. They had a paddle, and they had a net. They put this net right across the whole pond. That's what they did, and they come back in. So anyways, next morning we wake up, we're getting ready to go, so we pull in the net, and there was a fish in it. So they actually caught, must have obviously been the last fish in the pond. But so we cooked it up and had one of our next best meals, this fish in this pond. And then so then we're going along. How far is the story? I got to speed up here. It's 7 minutes. So then we're going along, and we hit the next little town, and we're driving into this town, and it's right now, boom, it's back in my mind. It's so clear visual. There's this guy walking in, he's all bandaged up. There's this dog walking beside him, and it's all bandaged up. And they were at the gas station, and then we pull over in front of the bar, and we get gas on the way out. We just want to let the car cool down, because we've been driving for a long time, and we don't want to pull in the gas, and you have to pull up, so we do it at the beginning when we leave. Anyways, so I should tell you how we cool our water. We have a thing on the front of the radiator, and a sack with water, and so the wind blows, and that's the water we had to drink ourselves. So it's just all these things you do for the outback. So we walk into the bar, and there's another dog all bandaged up, and there's another guy who looks like he's probably the guy that fought the guy that's at the gas station. So we're like, what happened? Everyone seems bandaged up. And the bar guy starts telling us how much he hates that guy, and he's him and his dog, and their dogs are always fighting, and they're always fighting. And this is one of those places that has like those two places and maybe one other little place. Like it's like 3 buildings, 4 buildings, and these guys can't stand each other. So sure enough, next morning when we're getting our gas to head off, we're hearing the same bitching about, "Oh, you stay there and have beer there. I wouldn't have drank there." And we're like, "Well, it's the only bar." And so yeah, there's 2 guys, and both of them had the same attitude. They weren't leaving before the other guy left. They were trying to basically, get the one guy to leave, so it was their town. So even right down to the dogs. And one was a pit bull, and one was a blue terrier. They're like an Australian shepherd, but smaller, really small, prickly hair. They're a sheepdog, and they're a beautiful dog. Some probably know. Some of you probably know what they look like. They're nippy though. They all nip at the heels and that. And, pit bulls are, as everyone knows, they just lock their jaws. So, you can see why both dogs were capable of hurting each other. So, and then we got finally to Birdsville. I'm into 940, so it's a long story. I'm really gonna have to learn how to shorten this one. So we get to Birdsville, and we go up, and long drive. Oh, I forgot, we lost the trailer. The hitch broke, and so like we're supposed to be making a big loop trip to see all these other things on the way back. But as a result, when we lost the trailer, we had to make it and then come back the same way to pick up the trailer and with some parts from that town, because Birdsville's a little bigger, so we were able to get a few parts. So anyways, we get to Birdsville, and of course, full of Aboriginals, and so they should be. And it wasn't the season where they have their one big race or whatever. There's something big that happens up there. We were in the dry season. It was, we literally pulled over one day and all had to poop by a tree, because it was the only tree we had seen for like, maybe a day and a half, because sometimes there's just no tree, no foliage. So it was like an amazing thing, this tree in the middle of nowhere all by itself. Kind of a neat picture, actually. So anyway, so we get to Birdsville, and I'm trying to speed up because I feel I'm taking too long. How long this one will ever take to load, or if you can even load them at this length of time. Geez, I don't know. I guess I'll find out. Maybe I'll just split it in two. I hope so. So we get there, and we go into a bar, and we're playing pool, and then all of a sudden, like 10, 12 of these, they're very small men, but they all come in, men, teenagers, and they start kind of getting, ornery fuss that this is their bar and that's their table and stuff. I'm thinking, God, we're good for business, because there's obviously no one here and they didn't have money, but they wanted tables. So we're like, okay, well, you can have a table. We left some change for them because it was a coin one. And we're just, trying to back out, and we would notice that one of us is missing. One of the Aussies, a tougher one, saw this guy's coming, didn't bother telling us. He'd snuck off and got in the car and locked the car. We're like, what are you doing? That's not very nice here. We're backing out, holding our cues, and figure we're gonna have this fight, and worrying about it, because like no noses there, they have no cartridge. We probably would have lost it. We'd done all right because they were small, but there was a lot of them, so we wouldn't have done that well. So anyways, we just, bowed out and gave them the room. And they were okay with that once we backed out of the room. And we find this guy, and he's like, I've got records, if I get in a fight, I go back in. So I didn't realize one of the guys we're traveling with had some con record, jail record, whatever. He seemed like a nice enough guy, but yeah, you never know. And we were young and foolish, so here we go. This is how we travel. So that's the main part of my Birdsville. Oh no, and then on the way back to pick up the trailer, I finally got to drive, get a break. Those guys were tired and drunk, and I literally saw the snake. I saw it as I was driving, but I couldn't really. It was squiggly right in front of me, right across me, so I couldn't do anything other than run over it. So I ran over what was, I knew what the snakes were by then, and had studied them a little bit before I went. So I think I just ran over a brown guy. I said, you want me to stop? And both of them wake up with eyes just out of their heads, like, don't fucking stop, don't stop, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I said, well, they said you can't. They said they kick up from the wheel wells, and often they live, and that's when you get bit. That's when you go out to just keep riding, and you could hear some thumping in the undercarriage. So I think we carried it for a while, but probably eventually tore it to pieces. We never found any remnants of it. At least I didn't. I didn't actually look either, though. The boys probably looked. And so then I was getting to the end of the trip and the end of my book. It was a Wilbur Smith book, I remember. And last 6-8 pages were ripped out. One of them decided to use it as toilet paper, and knew that would piss me off if I couldn't read the end of my story. And that is what it was like on my Birdsville trip. Cheers.